Gavin, welcome to KYRA Connect. It's an absolute privilege to be able to chat with you this morning. So I'm welcoming Gavin Booth, who is the CEO of Infinity Academies Trust. And Gavin, we met several years ago through KYRA East and also being leaders of neighbouring schools in the Spilsby area. Gavin's here today to chat with us about the pilot project for the KYRA SPP peer review Reinvigoration for September. So Gavin, lovely to have you along this afternoon. Can you please tell me about your experience as a school leader of peer review? And I'm thinking sort of from that initial rollout in 2014 to now, and your experience in leading a trust of schools.
Well, thank you very much for having me today, and it's great to talk to you as always. So peer review wise, I was involved in that first tranche of training back from 2014. I was the head teacher at the time of Gypsbridge, which is a small village school. There was a group of us that were all new heads at a similar sort of time, so we kind of clung together like penguins on the rocks and went through this training process together, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was a really significant piece of training for the whole county to get involved in. There are a lot of head teachers in the room, a lot of people looking to see how this is going to become part of their annual practice, really. So I kind of jumped on board and have kind of stayed on the peer review bandwagon ever since in some way, shape or form. So, as we moved and I moved to be exec over Spilsby, we started to, involve that in peer review and widened our peer review groups and networks. And then as that's progressed and I've taken on more schools, and then as we now ended up in the kind of Infinity Trust with 7 schools, peer review is still an absolute core part of our trust development and improvement strategy. So I think the thing that we found is it's changed, it's molded, it's become new as that's gone through. And I think one of the things we're really excited about is how we can get involved in the next iteration and the next kind of phase of the life of peer review going forwards.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. So that sort of brings me on to what's inspired you to join the KYRA SPP peer review Reinvigoration. So I guess why KYRA, why peer review, and why now?
Wow. So peer review for me has always been about relationships. It's been about finding people that are like-minded, that are wanting to put in that work to help develop children and improve schools wherever they might be and whatever their context. And so as a trust, we're really interested in doing that, obviously with our immediate trust schools, but we're also in terms of wanting to work beyond that. So we're really key that that we don't become an echo chamber, that we don't have just our own schools supporting our own schools and therefore learn nothing new and don't develop further. So we've been looking and trying to find ways of getting involved and working outside of the trust as well to work with other leaders and work with other schools. So we're very interested in looking at how we can reinvigorate and redevelop that peer review, because I think one of the issues we've had with it is that initial lot of training went in and then it's not been refreshed and updated. So people have tried to find a way to mold it and to shape it, and we've created something internal to us, but it lacks a common language between our trust and what's going on elsewhere. So I think the thing that excites us about potentially coming and working alongside KYRA to do this is we know that KYRA's got really strong relationships. We know that KYRA's got that commitment to improve and to work with us to improve. We know that KYRA is that alliance of a wide variety of schools of all different shapes, sizes, phases, structures. And that's exciting because that's where the learning comes from. It comes from that difference. I think the exciting bit about being at the front of the queue in terms of this process is the chance to shape it and to have conversations about how we can co-design that. And I think the really exciting bit about working with KYRA is we know that there's that commitment behind it all for continuous training. I'm going to press this button now. To have that continuous training and ongoing, so that we know that the issue that we had with it in the past, which was a kind of bit of a boom and bust, we had a lot of training and then it stopped, and then it's how do we do that? And we know that there's this commitment to kind of an ongoing training process at the back of this. So, why now? I suppose now is just the right time. We've had this kind of series of the pandemic where it's been really kind of schools have been islands. They've been a bit insular. I know we've been trying to support each other in terms of the pastoral side of things and helping head teachers get through. But in terms of school improvement, we've pretty much been just locked in on our own. So it's that opportunity now the world's opening up, hopefully, fingers crossed, a bit more. We can then start to use peer review as a way of benchmarking our practice against others, to be outward facing, to kind of look at how we develop and improve those relationships. And also the exciting thing about this is having a relationship with the Education Development Trust as well, who are right at the forefront of really effective school-to-school support. So that's why at KYRA, that's why now.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. And that word support is really crucial. That's something that's really been woven through our co-construction of the reiteration of peer review. Thanks, Gavin. So my final question for you is what are your hopes for the impact of peer review for the Infinity schools, and also for peer review being sustainable for Lincolnshire schools in the future?
So my hopes are, I know that I work with a fantastic group of head teachers across some really, really good schools. I know they're really committed to helping one another to improve. So my hope for that is that our commitment to how we're working internally can be, cascaded outwards as well. And I know that there are a lot of practitioners and a lot of head teachers out there who feel exactly the same way. And so it's building that two-way process and making sure that our eyes are kind of firmly set on the horizon in terms of supporting one another. So we're really excited that we can get involved and start to kind of grow what we do and kind of hone and perfect and tweak and make it better, because there's always room for improvement. We're very excited about the kind of sustainability of it, like you've mentioned. So I want to know that this peer review process is not only helping develop my head teachers, but it's starting to develop the other senior leaders in the schools. There's the opportunity for assistant head teachers and deputy heads to kind of get in on the action, and it's great career development for them. It's great retention for us in terms of providing people with something different to be able to do. And we're keen to kind of learn on all that best practice that's out there that we've not seen firsthand yet. We've not been able to grasp and trying to bring that back into what we're doing. We really want those opportunities to celebrate. I think we talk a lot about improvement, and we talk a lot about the things that we need to develop, and we focus a lot on areas of weakness. One of the strengths of peer review, when it's done really well, is that opportunity to shine a light on fantastic practice and to celebrate things that are really working. So I know some of the most powerful peer reviews I've had is where, we've been putting a lot of work into a particular area of school improvement, and we've asked for somebody to come in and peer review that area. And when you get that feedback that comes back, says, actually, yeah, this is really making a difference. It's having an impact. I can see from my last visit to this visit how great that is. That's really affirming for staff. And again, staff that have been in this kind of strange world for the last 18 months to kind of be able to open our schools up and have other practitioners come in and say, you're doing a really great job. Yeah. That's worth so much. So it's trying to get linked in again, get connected again, continue to kind of build and foster those relationships, but focusing really on a kind of structured approach to school improvement. And the thing that we're excited about is that opportunity to work across multiple partnerships. So I think one of the old models that happened with peer review is that those clusters got developed and they kind of stayed, and they kind of got a little bit stale at times and a little bit blurred in terms of their remit. Whereas I think now with a new kind of peer review starting up, we can start to look at how do we keep those groups of schools fresh? How do we make sure that we are really having a kind of laser-like focus on school improvement, knowing full well that people are still there at the end of the phone if we need to ring them about pastoral things, or we've got our home cluster of schools that we can still come back to. And for us, it'll be coming back into the trust family, but actually to be able to work with others on a kind of really clear remit of school improvement in a really structured way with a common language that we've all learned through this training process, I think is hugely powerful. And so that fills me with a lot of hope and a lot of optimism for how this goes forward into the next academic year. So we're really looking forward to it and very, very delighted to be part of the pilot activities that are going on.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gavin. And as ever, it's absolutely inspiring to hear about your passionate vision for Infinity schools and also for wider schools in Lincolnshire. Thank you so much for giving up your time in a working
I'm so sorry about all my phones ringing.
No, absolutely.
This is how it all happens. But
this is the real world, isn't it? So KYRA is delighted to have Infinity schools joining the pilot project. I'm really looking forward to working together much more closely going forward.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Yeah, see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.